The story of using Onmyōjutsu to kill. Once upon a time, there was a person named Kotsuki no Itohei who served as the head of the Department of Finance. He had a son who was a master of divination named Chix. The father of Kotsuki no Itohei was Chushin, and his grandfather was Shitai Chikane, who served as the governor of Awaji. When Otsukash was still young, he was exceptionally talented and intelligent, with no equal in the world. It was believed that if he lived, he would surpass everyone and become outstanding. Some people thought, if he excels, there is no one who could compete with him, whether it be the head of the Department of Finance, the assistants, or the noble families. Even though he is just a sixth-rank official, he is so talented and virtuous that he will surely become renowned in the world. At that time, had performed an exorcism at his home, and when consulting with a renowned Onmyōji, he was told that it was a day on which one should be extremely cautious. They noted the date and instructed him to remain in seclusion, avoiding any external disturbances. However, an enemy who had used a hidden Onmyōji to create a situation that would guarantee his death arranged for it. The Onmyōji who performed this act said, "The day on which he is observing the seclusion is indeed a day requiring extreme caution. Therefore, if you perform a divination, the result will be accurate. If you go with me to his home and knock on the door, he will not open it due to the seclusion. However, if you make even a sound, the divination will be accurate." Therefore, the person accompanied by the Onmyōji went to the house and knocked loudly. A servant came out and asked, "Who is knocking at this door?" The visitor replied, "We have something very important to discuss. Although it is a day of strict seclusion, please open the door slightly and let us in. It is a matter of great importance." The servant responded, "This is quite unusual. Is there really someone who would not consider the important matter at hand? If so, I will not open the door. Please return quickly." The visitor insisted, "Even if you say you will not open the door, just show your face through the small window. I just want to hear your voice." At that moment, the Onmyōji performed a divination based on the sound and the face visible through the window, concluding the person's fate. Despite the insistence that it was a matter of great importance, the visitor was unable to think of what to say and said, "I was just planning to return to the countryside and report the matter. So, please, let us in." The servant responded, "Since it is not a matter of great importance, it is strange that you have come out to call someone on a day of seclusion and cannot think of what to say." The visitor entered the house. That night, the person suffered from a severe headache and died within 3 days. From this, it is understood that on a day of seclusion, one should not make any noise or allow anyone to meet. For those who perform such acts, the divination can be very frightening. Even if it is fate, one must be extremely cautious. Thus, the story has been passed down. The tale of the Onmyōji Chitoku of Harima Province. Once upon a time, in the district of Shuk in Harima Province, there was a monk who practiced Onmyōjutsu named Chitoku. He had lived in that province for many years, practicing this art. This monk was no ordinary person. During that time, a ship from Krak Province carrying a large amount of goods was traveling through the waters off the coast of Akashi. Pirates attacked, taking all the cargo from the ship, killing many people, and then fleeing. Only a few people, including the ship's captain and a couple of servants, managed to survive by jumping into the sea. They swam ashore and sat crying on the beach, when Chitoku, leaning on his staff, approached them and asked, "Why are you sitting here, weeping?" The ship's captain replied, "While we were traveling from our province, pirates attacked us in these waters yesterday. They stole all of our cargo, killed many people, and we barely escaped with our lives." Chitoku, hearing this, said, "What a terrible shame! Let us capture those pirates." The ship's captain thought, he must be speaking nonsense, but still he cried and said, "It would be wonderful if that were possible." Chitoku then asked, "What time did this happen yesterday?" The captain gave the time, and Chitoku, with that information, took a small boat and, along with the captain, went out to the site of the attack. There, Chitoku floated his boat on the water, wrote something down, and recited a chant. Afterward, they returned to shore. Then, Chitoku hired several practitioners of his craft and had them perform rites to protect the area for 4 or 5 days. On the seventh day after the ship had been attacked, a boat appeared out of nowhere, drifting aimlessly. Armed men were aboard the boat, and when they were approached, they seemed dazed as though drunk, unable to move or even attempt to escape. These men were indeed the pirates. All the stolen cargo was still aboard, so the captain gathered the items, as Chitoku had instructed, and returned everything to the rightful owners. As for the pirates, the local people attempted to capture them, but Chitoku intervened, instructing the pirates, "From now on, do not commit such crimes. Even though you deserve death, it would only bring greater sin upon you. Know that there is an old monk in this land who will always be watching over you." The pirates, hearing this, fled in fear, and the ship's captain rejoiced at having recovered his goods and departed in happiness. This event was entirely due to Chitoku's use of Onmyōjutsu to deceive and lure the pirates. However, Chitoku was a frightening man, and when he later met Seimei, his knowledge of divine secrets was hidden from him. But this did not trouble him, as he did not know the reason for it. Thus, the story has been passed down of this monk in Harima province. The tale of the Onmyōji who exorcised the vengeful spirit of a married woman. Once upon a time, there was a man named Shach. He had separated from his wife, whom he had lived with for many years. The wife, deeply filled with resentment, wept and grieved so much that she became ill from her bitterness. After suffering from her illness for months, she eventually died of heartache. The woman had neither parents nor close relatives, so her body was not hidden or discarded after her death. She remained in the house, and her hair did not fall out but stayed attached to her head as if she were still alive. Her bones remained intact and did not separate. A neighbor, peering through a gap in the wall, saw this and was struck with fear. Furthermore, strange lights would often glow in the house, and mysterious noises could frequently be heard. The neighbors, terrified, fled in panic. The woman's husband, hearing of these events, was filled with dread and thought, "How can I possibly escape from this vengeful spirit? Since she died hating me, she will surely come for me." Trembling in fear, he went to an Onmyōji named told him everything, and asked for a way to escape from the spirit's wrath. The Onmyōji replied, "This is indeed a difficult situation to escape from. However, I will try my best. Be warned, though, as it may result in terrible consequences. You must remain vigilant and pray with all your heart." With that, as the sun was setting, the Onmyōji took the man to the house where his deceased wife's body lay. The man, already terrified just from hearing about the place, was even more horrified at the thought of actually going there. But, trusting the Onmyōji completely, he followed him. When they arrived, they saw the corpse lying there, its hair still intact, with the bones perfectly aligned as if the body had not decayed. The Onmyōji made the man sit on the back of the corpse as if riding a horse, and instructed him to firmly grasp the dead woman's hair, saying, "Under no circumstances should you let go." Then, after chanting prayers over the body, the Onmyōji advised him, "Stay like this until I return. Something terrifying will surely happen, but remember to pray and do not release your hold." With those words, the Onmyōji left the house, and the man, with no other choice, sat on the corpse, gripping its hair. He felt as though he were neither alive nor dead. Night fell, and as midnight approached, the corpse suddenly spoke, saying, "How heavy!" Then it stood up and started running, crying out, "I will find him and make him pay." The body ran off far and wide, but the man, remembering the Onmyōji's instructions, clung tightly to the hair. After a while, the corpse returned to the house and lay down again in the same position as before. The man, paralyzed with fear, could not think clearly but held on to the hair as he had been told. At dawn, when the rooster crowed, the corpse fell silent and moved no more. When morning came, the Onmyōji returned and asked, "Surely something terrifying happened last night? Did you manage to keep your hold on her hair?" The man confirmed that he had not let go. The Onmyōji then chanted further prayers over the body and said, "Now, let's go home." He took the man back to his house. The Onmyōji said, "You no longer need to fear. The spirit has been exorcised." Hearing this, the man wept and thanked the Onmyōji profusely. After that, the man lived peacefully for a long time without any further troubles. This must be a relatively recent event, for the man's grandson is still alive today, and the Onmyōji's grandson also serves at the office of Otoneri, or Great Chamberlain, as this story has been passed down. The Tale of the Monk Tōshō Who Foretold the Collapse of the Suzaku Gate, number 21. Once upon a time, there was a monk named Tōshō. He was known for being able to look at a person's appearance, hear their voice, and observe their behavior to divine the length of their life, the extent of their wealth, and their rank in society. His predictions were always accurate, and as a result, people from all walks of life, men and women alike, flocked to Tōshō's temple in the capital. One day, while Tōshō was out walking, he passed in front of the Suzaku Gate. Beneath the gate, a large group of men and women, young and old, had gathered to rest. Tōshō looked at them and saw that they all bore the appearance of those who would soon die. What could this mean? He wondered. He stood there for a while, carefully observing them, but the ominous signs did not fade. Tōshō thought to himself, what could cause all of these people to die so suddenly? If they were to be attacked by someone, only a few might be killed. There's no reason for them all to perish at once. How strange. He then considered, perhaps the gate is about to collapse. If that were the case, they would all be crushed beneath it and die instantly. Convinced of this, he called out loudly to the people resting under the gate, "Look out! The gate is about to fall, and if you stay here, you will all be crushed to death. Hurry and get out." The people, startled by his warning, scattered in all directions. Tōshō also quickly retreated to a safe distance. Though there was no wind, no earthquake, and not even a speck of dust disturbed, the gate suddenly began to lean and, without warning, collapsed. Those who had quickly run out were able to save their lives, but a few who had hesitated were crushed and killed. Later, Tōshō recounted the event to others, and everyone who heard the story was amazed by his extraordinary ability to foresee such things. Another time, since Tōshō's temple was located near Ichijo, one spring night when the rain was falling steadily, he heard someone passing by on the road in front of the temple, playing a flute. Hearing the sound, Tōshō called one of his disciples and said, "I don't know who is playing that flute, but the sound I hear is that of a man whose life is about to end. Go and tell him." However, as the rain was heavy and the flutist had already passed by, the disciple did not go after him, and nothing more was said. The next day, the rain stopped. That evening, the same flutist passed by again, playing his flute. Hearing the familiar sound, Tōshō remarked, "That is the same person as last night. Something strange is happening." The disciple asked, "What do you think is happening?" Tōshō instructed, "Call that flutist over here." The disciple ran after the man, brought him back, and they saw he was a young man, appearing to be a servant. Tōshō called him forward and said, "The reason I summoned you is because last night, when you passed by playing your flute, I heard the sound of someone whose life was about to end. I wanted to tell you this, but the rain was falling heavily and you passed by too quickly. I regret not being able to warn you. However, when I heard your flute tonight, I realized that your life has been extended. Did something significant happen to you tonight?" The servant replied, "No, I haven't done anything unusual tonight. I was merely at a place called Kawasaki in the east, where a lecture on the Bodhisattva Samantabhadra Fugen was being held. I was playing my flute all night as part of the event." Upon hearing this, Tōshō thought, surely the merits of playing the flute during the lecture on Samantabhadra must have cleansed his sins and extended his life. He was moved by this realization, and with tears in his eyes, he expressed his gratitude to the young man. The servant, overjoyed, bowed in reverence and went on his way. This is a recent story passed down about a remarkable and mysterious diviner.